What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so look, we all know about the rivalry between the Chicago Bulls and the Detroit Pistons. I mean, it's mentioned ad nauseum every day, every week, all over social media. It's referenced constantly. Uh, look, okay, it's other rivalries out there historically, but you know, it is what it is. And you could talk about, who you favored, which team you rooted for. One of the most infamous moments is during the 1991 Eastern Conference Finals when the Bulls finally gained the upper hand over the Detroit Pistons, the bad boy Pistons, and swept them in that series. And a lot of people, including myself, thought that the Detroit Pistons were classless when they walked off of the floor. Okay, when they walked off the floor and pretty much refused to acknowledge the Bulls beating them. All right? Now, I'll put a link to this article in the pinned comment in the comment section below. But Jalen Rose agrees that Isiah Thomas and the Pistons did the right thing. All right? He mentioned this in a recent, I believe it was a recent interview. And he said that, quote, "I'm right behind Isiah. You know why? Let me tell you why. This is the era where you had true rivals. So, true rivals weren't shaking hands, kissing babies, and exchanging jerseys after the game. It was a total different lifestyle, and I loved it." Well, that's not exactly true, okay? This is what he's not getting. Yes, you had rivals. And yes, everybody wasn't trying to be friends with everybody back then. However, people were expecting players to be professionals. And that means no matter how painful it is, you still were expected to acknowledge your opponent when you lost. You think players liked shaking Michael Jordan's hand and the Bulls when they constantly beat their ass? Do you think that you want to acknowledge and shake someone's hands after a buzzer beater? Because I see a lot of these guys don't do that shit now. They don't do it at all. They don't act like professionals in the least bit. But get mad when you write something bad about them. Now, as much as the Bulls were throttled and beaten up and just fucking pilloried by the Pistons in the playoffs, they shook their hands as much as they didn't want to. They shook their fucking hands, but when it come time for them to beat you, you run like a little fucking girl. That's what bullies do. That's a bully who all of a sudden has been bested, but too scared or too cowardly to admit that they got beaten. And by the way, if I'm not mistaken, the Boston Celtics, for the most part, shook the Pistons' hands when they finally beat them in 88? They shook their hands. So no, that's BS. That's crap. Yeah, you had rivalries, but when the whistle blew, that was the end of the game. You're supposed to be a professional, man. So now I don't agree with Jalen Rose when it comes to that. But anyway, tell me what you guys think.